Hello and welcome to this preview for Lore and Legend, Tales from Our Mythic Past.
The sound reverberated off the stone in front of him, which seemed to shake unnaturally in response. When he finally came to the last chord, the shaking had become violent, uncontrollable, and then, as though it could hold no longer, the stone cracked.
In each episode of this podcast, we will bring you a legendary tale inspired by the rich traditions of world folklore and mythology.
I'm Rick Scott.
And I'm Sebastian Odell. These tales are our own interpretations of stories, drawing upon our own knowledge of history, mythology, and the art of storytelling. Our tellings are rooted in the vibe of folkloric storytelling that is thriving today, both nationally and internationally.
Lore and Legend is about the art of storytelling, appealing to the theatre of the mind's eye. And he looked up and he saw their father's sword returning to them on the frothing current of the water. And when he brought that sword back home and showed it to them, they all looked at each other and they knew that their brother was lost. Afterwards, you'll have the chance to hear us talking about the lore behind the tale, but also about the art, the craft, and the ethos of storytelling. Why do these stories beg to be told? Sure as I tell it, Thomas said, when you travel the length and breadth of our fair country, you will see many strange and peculiar things. Stones standing towards the sun, wells dug deep toward the earth, hollow hills and claw-marked caves, and they appear to be all but ruins of something forgotten and unexplained. I'm an artist and an illustrator and one-time historian. I've been going to clubs and doing folk storytelling since discovering the scene as a student here in the city of Sheffield, where I was studying for my doctorate in history. My research was all about the history of dreams and dreaming. A couple of times I've been introduced at storytelling clubs as the Doctor of Dreams. As an artist, I don't always get to do as much storytelling as I'd like, so I wanted to create lore and legend to share all of the great stories which I uncovered during my time as a researcher.
With the happy chatter that was now filling the church, no one noticed the droning hum that was building up outside. No one noticed that the sky outside was growing darker, or that the mists were coming in closer to the church.
It was writing and performing short stories that got me into storytelling. I'm really grateful to Rick for inviting me to be involved in this. As well as thriving on the slightly otherworldly character of myth and folklore, my passion is really for the creative side. I've definitely got very into the art of telling rather than reading a tale, and drawing the audience into that world.
Our first series of Lore and Legend will be called Strange Britannia, exploring dark and lesser-known tales of the British otherworld and its hidden beings. We'll meet 4 eldritch knights who roam the borderlands of England, Wales and Scotland.
The briars around him shook, his eyes opened, and the undergrowth shrank back from him. Someone had entered his land.
An outlandish knight who gets more than he bargained for when he bewitches an English lord's daughter.
Well, that very night, as the household was gathered in the hall to feast and warm themselves by the hearth, a strange knight rode out of the pass to the north, and up to the doors of that hall.
An otherworldly king who kidnaps an earthly queen from the midst of her own dreams.
The night passed, and the solid shield wall around that orchard never broke once. And yet when Orfeo stepped within the circle to find her, the Lady Herodes was gone all the same.
We'll also hear other tales of fateful enchantment, fatal attraction, and fearful journeys between this world and the world of the hidden folk.
And she said, Thomas, you must hold your tongue, whatever you may hear or see. For speak you a word of elfin land, and Middle-earth you'll never more see.
We'll also have guest episodes, giving you an insight into the world of professional storytellers who are keeping traditional and legendary material alive for modern audiences.
A lot of the storytellers that I saw during the revival growing up were people who had collected stories from around the world.
I'll give you more bread if you tell me what happened to Long John Silver. And he's telling the story. That, I think, is what it's about.
Join us soon for episode 1, where we'll meet the first of many fascinating characters from the world of folklore, and begin our journey into the realm of the magical, the mystical, and the legendary.
We are Lore and Legend, bringing you tales from our mythic past.
And yes, there will be dragons.
Stay up to date with the podcast by following us on Facebook and Twitter at Of Lore and Legend, or by visiting us at www.loreandlegend.co.uk.